Good morning, Magic players and card collectors of all kinds. Welcome back to the channel. We're going to do kind of a weird thing today. We are, of course, here for Super Deck Sunday. So don't worry, we are going to do that. I was going to open a pack of Avatar as part of this Super Deck Sunday, though, but I kind of forgot to grab one on my way out the door. I'm filming this actually a day in advance because I don't know what my dad's plans are for the weekend, and Kaiba is pretty upset with me already for having to be out of the house again today a bit. I need to do a bit of shopping this morning. Need new winter boots. I hate the expenses that come with the season, but my current pair of winter boots at home, I don't have them here with me, but the stitching here has gotten so bad that the top half is actually peeling off of the bottom half. And last year I super glued it back together, but the super glue isn't holding anymore, so I figured I better bite the bullet and buy a new pair. So went over to Giant Tiger to get those, and I'm waiting for PetSmart to open so I can do the Christmas shopping for Kaiba, because the other day when we were in there, I noticed Black Friday deals are on until tomorrow, and they're doing like half off on toys. So I'm going to grab a bunch of stuff for Kaiba while it's cheap for his Christmas presents, so that I can at least still give him some stuff for Christmas, because I kind of feel bad with everything that's going on this year with regards to my new car and such. I don't have a lot of extra money, so this is the only way that I'll be able to spoil him, essentially. Otherwise, I'm going to have to be really, really lean with what I buy for him for Christmas. So I thought, get in there, get some stuff, but he's going to be really mad that I went to PetSmart without him. So, moral of the story, I don't know what's going on tomorrow. I'm hoping to take him to the park for the first time, but it's been really cold this morning, so I don't know if that's a good idea either. And therefore, I don't know if I'd have any time to record tomorrow. So while I have 35, 40 minutes before PetSmart opens, I'm going to do this deck build. And since I forgot the Avatar pack at home, I do have a couple of Dollarama packs that I keep in the car just in case for emergencies. So I'm going to crack one or two of these as well. And I'm going to try and insert some sort of Puggy content into the middle of the video as well for you guys. Probably do what I think I'll do is I'll do these two packs of Dollarama Draws Destiny first, get them out of the way, put a little cut in the video, and then we'll get to the deck profile. Either that or I'll do the deck profile. You know what? Maybe we'll do the deck profile first and we'll do this at the end. Let's do that. I don't know. I'm going to do this first. You can tell I have ADHD because I'm very impulsive and can't decide things sometimes on the fly. I think I'm going to do these first because we're all really here for the deck profile. And I figure if I do the deck profile first, there's a chance that people might not watch the Dollarama and the Kaiba part at the end. And that would be really sad because the Kaiba part's super important. Kaiba would be very sad if people don't watch his part of the content. And since I'm not going to be able to get that play video together probably, I'm just going to keep inserting clips from that play video into my other things, because every time I try to get together that play video, I just run out of time, or I just don't have any time extra because Kaiba really needs some attention and love. And that is totally understandable with the way the last 2 weeks have gone, so I'm not going to hold anything against him. When he needs some support, he's getting that support. First pack of Destiny. Ooh, we got a Sorcerer's one to start us off. That's pretty cool. Equipped creature has tapped. This creature deals 1 damage to target player or planeswalker, and if it's a wizard, it deals 2 damage instead. It's not a bad card if you're playing wizards, and even if you're not, it's decent to ping some stuff. Diminish. 1 blue, target creature becomes a 1/1 until end of turn. Nice. Retreat to Kazandu. 2 and a green, landfall. Whenever a land enters the battlefield on your control, you get to either put a +1/+1 counter on target creature, or you gain 2 life. That's an insane enchantment. I am super pumped to pull that one. I'm planning to take that landfall deck from Commander Core Creator Challenge a few months ago, and I really want to try and like upgrade it a bit and change a few things, because I want to get rid of the explore mechanic that's in it. I did it as a niche thing for the deck, but I would really like to make it a little more competitive and actually viable. So cards like this are definitely going to make it good. Ooh, another Goblin. I'm working on the Goblin deck right now, actually, too. I started that last night. When Shortcutter enters the battlefield, target creature can't block this turn. Decent. Swift Kick. The target creature you control gets +1/+0 until end of turn and fights target creature you don't control. That one's really expensive. That's probably the first card that I'm going to say is not so good. Right now, my favorite card is definitely Retreat to Kazandu. But that's definitely the worst one so far. Ooh, Street Tree Rootweaver. This is one of my favorite mana dorks because it's got a decent butt. It's 1 and a green. It came from Bloomburrow, and it's really cute. And we got a holo version of it now. So that is awesome. We got a legendary Squee Goblin Nabob. Nabob or Nabob? I'm not sure which. 2 and a red for a 1/1. At the beginning of upkeep, you may return Squee Goblin Nabob from your graveyard to your... Nice! This is a hell of a pack, guys. We got the Stegron Dinosaur Man, too. I mean, Spider-Man's got to do what Spider-Man's got to do. He's thrown himself into my packs, like usual. We've talked about this guy before. He's okay. He's not super great by any means. Vashino Fangtail. 2 and 2 red for a 3/3. Tap him, and he deals 1 damage to target creature or player. I like that. Very simple, very straightforward. A little expensive to get into play, but he's got a decent stat line, so it's worth it. Ranger's Guile. 1 green for target creature gets +1/+1 and gains hexproof until end of turn. Yes, please keep that coming. Rummaging Goblin. 2 and a red. 1/1. Tap, discard a card, draw a card. Sure. A little expensive to get into play, but the ability's worth it. Tap, target creature gains haste until end of turn. Another Goblin. We got ourselves a Swamp to put in between the 2 cards that I consider kind of meh. I'm going to put the Sorcerer's Wand. I'm going to keep the Sorcerer's Wand actually up there. These 2 are the meh cards so far. Viridian Harvester. Or no, just Harvest, sorry. 1 green. Enchant Artifact. When an enchanted artifact is put into a graveyard, you gain 6 life. Interesting. So enchanted treasure, then sacrifice the treasure and you gain 6 life. Nice. I kind of like that. And Fortify. 2 and a white. Creatures you control get +2/+0 until end of turn, or they get +0/+2 until end of turn. Either way, instant speed. A little expensive, but not bad. Not going to say it's bad. We definitely got some serious fire in there, though. The Mana Dork, the Retreat, the Goblin, Squee, Vashino. I'm stoked with that first pack. That was a definite solid pack. Let's see what the second pack has for us. And then we'll get you guys a little Kaiba clip. And then I'm doing the deck profile. I want to get the deck profile done, and I want to get in there to the PetSmart, do the shopping real quick before anybody else gets here, because I figure it's going to get busy. And then I'm going to get home to Kaiba. I also have to get the car into the shop today. Dad wants to see if they did a good job for the safety. He doesn't think they did. 2 and a black, back for seconds. Turn up to 2 target creature cards from your graveyard to your hand. If this spell was bargained for, you can put one of those cards with mana value 4 or less onto the battlefield. Nice. I like that a lot. Bewilder. Target creature gets -3/-0 until end of turn. Draw a card. It's not bad. I'm going to let it be above mid, but it's not the greatest. Royal Spout. 1 white and blue. Put target creature on top of its owner's library. Awaken 4. 4 white and blue. If you cast it for the awaken cost, you get to put 4 +1/+1 counters on a land you control, and it becomes an elemental with haste. Interesting. That one's upside down. I thought I flipped them all, but I guess I forgot. Let me double check. Yeah, I forgot. Okay. Let's do a quick flip to make sure that we don't do that more than one time in this pack. Here we go. Applied Biomancy. Blue and green. Either target creature gets +1/+1 until end turn, or return target creature to its owner's hand. Okay. That's decent. Oh, double reveal by accident. Squirrel Dealer. Ooh. 1 green. Oh, it's an unset card. Okay, that's why. I was going to say, I didn't think there was a lot of raccoons in the game before Bloomburrow. It's a Raccoon Lizard Bird. For a 1/1, you get, when this enters the battlefield, ask a person outside the game, do you like squirrels? If he or she does, you get a 1/1 green squirrel creature token. Neat. Disturbing Mirth. Enchantment. When it enters the battlefield, you may sacrifice another enchantment or creature. If you do, draw 2 cards. When you sacrifice this, you manifest dread. Okay. Horde Smelter Dragon. 4 and 2 red for a 5/5. Flying. Pay 3 and a red. Destroy target artifact. This thing gets +X/+0 until end of turn, where X is the artifact's mana value. Neat. You don't have to sacrifice it, so it's not your own. You can actually target other people's. So I like that. Venomized Cat, Symbiote Cat Villain. 2 and a black for a 2/3 with Death Touch, and when it enters, you mill 2 cards. I do love me some Death Touch, so that one's definitely going up. It's not near the top by any means, but it's good. Minotaur Abomination, 4 and 2 black for a 4/6 with some flavor text. It is a zombie, so I will give it props for that. Look at that, shuffling, wobbling, entrails placed haphazardly. It's shameful. Who would let that kind of work flap about for all to see? Leston, the Necromancer. I will put that up into the mid just because it does have a cool flavor text. Kujar Seed Sculptor. 1 and a green for a 1/2. When it enters battlefield, put a +1/+1 counter on target creature you control. Decent. It is an elf, so elves are always nice. Ironic, actually, because this deck is about elves, too, that we're about to look at. Timbermar Lava. 3 and a green for a 2/2. Whenever this thing attacks, it gets +1/+1 until end of turn for each force you control. Hell yes, I like that. Tygam's Strike. 3 and a blue. Target creature gets +2/+0 until end of turn and can't be blocked this turn. Plus it has rebound. Okay. It's a little expensive, but the rebound is why I'm going to put it top. 1 and a white for a knight. Daring Skyjack. Sorry, not jerk. When Daring Skyjack and at least 2 other creatures attack, this thing gets flying until end of turn. It's a 3/1 though, so meh. Renegade Tactics. 1 red. Target creature can't block this turn. Draw a card. Okay. And we end on Doomed. I'm going with Operative. 1 and a black for a 2/2. As long as you control an artifact, this thing gets +1/+0 and has Death Touch. Sure. We definitely got some solid hits. I mean, that pack wasn't really as good as the first pack by any means. I'm not going to say it was, but that first pack was insane, so I'm not going to complain about that second pack either. And with that said, I'm going to cap off the little mini episode of Dollarama Draws of Destiny here. And give you guys a video of Kaiba content. And then we're coming back to the deck profile super quick. Okay, see you in a bit. Oh my goodness. We've got him. Is that under there? No. Richie Puck? Richie Puck. Richie Puck. Soars around on a Richie Puck. No. This one still? No. Are you tuckered now? Is he all tuckered out now? Oh my goodness. You're such a good boy. Yes, you are, my beautiful boy. Good boy. I know. You just want lots of attention. That's all you want. You just need to be given the attention. Yeah. Aww. Aww. Good boy. Papa love you. Papa love you. Yes. Oh. Sorry, Daddy's chest still hurts. It's hard for me to stay like that for too long. You're a beautiful boy. Yes, you are. So beautiful. I love you. Oh boy. Which one do you want to be with now? Monkey? Yeah, you're having a good time. I know. I didn't give you enough attention over the last couple of days. Daddy was busy. You're not going to be happy when Daddy goes back to physio tomorrow. I know. All right, we are back in the car. I'm just going to take a quick sip of Coke, which I should have done before I hit record. But you know me. I am not a professional. Just a guy who loves cards and loves his pug. Speaking of cards, the deck we're looking at today is an elf deck. I'm going to see if I zoom in, is it going to be too close? No, that's actually pretty decent. Okay. We're doing a Lathril Blade of the Elves deck. Yes, this is a very common elf build that a lot of people play. I happen to have 2 copies of this card, and I just figured, why not? I might as well build it. Plus, I had a lot of fun building with this deck, and it does have some interesting little quirks to it. I will say that I'm missing a couple tokens here. I should have an Orc Army token, and I also need to get a Ring Temsu token. I do have both at home. I probably should add a couple more Elf Warriors, so I will do that before I actually play this deck again. But I recently rebuilt this deck over the weekend, last weekend, and thought, you know what, I should share this deck with you guys, because this deck is a lot of fun. Actually, And instead of Mystery Commander today, because the commander was going to be really obvious for this deck when it was green, black, and elves, I figured, we have Mystery Artifact for you to guess. So this is actually one of the win cons in this deck. It is a semi-valuable artifact. I think it's going for like $15, $20 right now, Canadian, which isn't bad. It is a rare, if I remember correctly. Could be a mythic, but I think it's a rare. And it totally lets me unlock my commander in a way that is phenomenal. So I'm going to leave that till the end and let you guys try and guess what I want to do with that. But I am going to say that it does allow me to have a more enhanced win con, let's say. It's not a win con on its own, but it will enhance one of the win cons in this deck. And it goes great with the commander for that reason. So, with all that said, I have a bunch of creatures, a bunch of instants and sorceries, a half dozen enchantments, and then an insane amount of lands for this deck. This is actually one of my more heavy land decks, surprisingly. I think it's like, actually, I might be wrong about that. It feels land heavy, but I could be wrong. Let's do the count as we go through and look at the artwork. So, we got our swamps. 1, 2, 3, 4. I picked a bunch of the swamps that had flavor text on them because I thought that was fun. So the old wizard's experiments destroyed the castle centuries ago. So why does the rubble look so recent? Just love things like that. Some of these are really old lands that I just happen to have in my collection. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I threw in a foul orchid for fun. Orchard for fun. Sorry. Lost count again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Land of War Wastes. 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28. I like that full art forest. 29. Jungle Hollow. 30, 31, 32. Actually, it's only got 32 lands, but man, that feels thick for lands. Normally, the lands don't feel that thick to me. But, 32 land deck. So, it is a little shy of being a heavy deck. It's actually quite light. But that's okay. There's a bunch of mana dorks in here, so it makes up for itself. I have 2 planeswalkers in this deck. Both of them are Tyvars. We have Tyvar Jubilant Brawler, who allows me to untap one target creature once per turn. That goes insanely well with Lathril if I want to activate Lathril twice in one turn, for example. The mill 3 cards thing, I'm probably not going to do that very often. But the thing I really like about this is I can activate the abilities of creatures I control as though those creatures had flash. So anything that I put into play that I want to activate on the same turn that I put into play, I can if Tyvar Jubilant Brawler is out. And the other Tyvar I have is Tyvar Kell. He allows all my elves to tap for black, which is phenomenal for this deck, because that gives me everything as a mana dork. I can pay 1, or I can +1, to put a +1/+1 counter on an elf I control. Untap it and give it Death Touch until end of turn, which is insane. So I can use Lathril's ability and then untap it and give it Death Touch and a +1/+1 counter, and then attack with it to make many more elves for the next turn to tap with. I can also create an elf green warrior creature token. And if I get this thing to 6, I can negative it and give myself an emblem that says whenever I cast an elf spell, it gains haste until end of turn and I draw 2 cards. The third part I don't care about as much, but this did come in an elf jumpstart pack, and I thought, well, I'm going to definitely be using that in my elf deck. There's no reason not to. So that did not make it into my jumpstart kit, unfortunately, but them's the breaks when you have 2 different elf decks. One with Lathril, and my other elf deck is a Galadriel deck that I believe I featured on the channel before, but not in Super Deck Sunday because it needs some upgrades. So when that deck's done, I will definitely feature it. Just going to turn on the car because I'm getting cold. Hopefully the heater won't be too loud for you guys. I'm just going to go through the creatures. These are not in any particular order. We got Elfspawn Giant, 3 and 2 green. He's a 5/3, he has reach, but the big thing is he's got landfall. Whenever a land enters the battlefield each turn, I'm going to make a green elf. Pretty solid. I do want me so many elves on this deck. I threw in an Elfheim Worm, not because it actually has anything to do necessarily with the theme of the deck, other than the fact that it involves elves. But I just thought that the flavor text was kind of cool. The worms consume everything in their path, so the elves make sure that their path goes through as many Phyrexians as possible. I love that flavor text. And Vigilance and Trample is insane. We got our first mana dork, Green Weaver Druid, taps to add 2 green mana. So with either of the Tyvars, I could end up adding 4 mana in a turn. Sylvan Messenger, 3 and a green, 2/2, trample, and when he enters the battlefield, I reveal the top 4 cards of my library and put all the elves in my hand. There's a lot of elves in this pack. There's actually only like maybe 3 or 4 creatures that aren't elves, and pretty much everything else is an elf in here. And the ones that aren't elves are insanely enhancing the elves. Actually, there might be 5 or 6, to be honest. We'll see. I can't remember for sure. Eladamri, Corvectal. I apologize for butchering that for you guys. 1 and 2 green for a 3/3. I can look at the top library anytime. I can cast creature spells from the top of my library. Pay 1 and a green, tap 2 untapped creatures I control, reveal a card from my hand, or from the top of my library. If I reveal a creature card this way, I get to put it on the battlefield. Phenomenal elf card. Had to put it in this deck. Duskwielder. I love this guy. He's a 1/2, but he has Boast, so whenever I actually attack with him, I can pay 1 and then a person loses a life and I gain a life. So if I attack, say, this guy over here on my left, or on my right, sorry, and the guy on the left is the problem, I can say, hey, don't kill this thing. I'm going to pay 1. I'm going to make the person that on my left here lose the life. Llanowar Stalker, 1 green for a 1/1. When it enters the battlefield under my control, another creature, sorry, enters the battlefield under my control, this thing gets +1/+0 until end of turn. I'm not the hugest fan of this one. There are better elves for sure, but I had to pick and choose between what I had left after the Lathril deck, and this one felt like a decent fit for the theme at least. This deck does want to go wide and attack a lot as one of the ways to win, for sure. Actually, there is 1 or 2 cards in here that I want to keep towards the end, so I'm just going to actually quickly filter this a bit, because those are the non-elf cards that I think would be really cool to show at the end, just to explain why they're awesome for this deck. Here we go. Okay. Yep, there we go. Everything else can go in the order that it's already in. Llanowar Visionary, 2 and a green, tap 2/2, enters battlefield, draw a card, and it taps for green. Another mana dork. I put in a Rishkar Prima Renegade. I took this one out of the Bloomburrow Bunny deck because I'm not going to be putting it into my Bunny deck since it's not a bunny, and it won't fit into my card draw deck because it's green. So I felt this was perfect for this deck. It's going to give all my creatures the ability to tap for green. So with that and with Tyvar, I think if I tap an elf, I would actually get green and black. I'm not sure if I have to pick between the two, but if I'm right, I think I would actually get green and black for every elf I tap, which would be insane. If I'm wrong, then I can tap them for either or, and I can get whatever color I need, which is awesome for mana fixing. So either way's phenomenal. The main thing is I have to get +1/+1 counters onto my creatures, which there are a few ways to do that in this deck. There's not a lot, but there's a few. So it is plausible. Elvish Regrower, 2 and 2 green, 4/3, and when he enters, I can return a permanent from my graveyard to my hand. Mainly that's for getting back the 2 Tyvars, but there are a few enchantments that I also want to get back if they get destroyed. And that significant artifact at the end is also very important. Please remember, try and guess what that artifact is before the end of this. Another elf, 1 and a green for 2/2 Flash Reach. What I like about this guy is whenever a non-human creature enters, which most of my elves are, of course, I can pay X, which is whatever I feel like, and then put that many +1/+1 counters on this thing, so it can just get insanely big. Mindblade Render. This is actually one of the few that is not an elf. I forgot that. I wanted to move that to the end, but oh well. This one's actually really fun for this deck too, because whenever my opponents are dealt combat damage, if any of that damage is dealt by a warrior, and it doesn't have to be on my turn, and it doesn't have to be by me, I will lose a life and I will draw a card. So all of my tokens are elf warrior tokens, which means any of my tokens deals damage, I get to draw a card and lose a life. So I do have to play very carefully this deck because I have some life gain stuff in here, but not an immense amount. So it's kind of a delicate balance as to how much I swing with it. I got 16 minutes to try and get through the rest of this deck profile. We got Nir's Nightblade in here because, of course, I have a ton of tokens coming into this game. And whenever they get destroyed, each opponent's going to lose a life, I gain a life. Abomination of Llanowar is phenomenal. I pulled this recently somewhere, or at least I found it recently in my collection. 1 green and black, it gets power and toughness equal to the number of elves I currently control, plus all the elf cards in my graveyard. So it won't see any tokens in my graveyard, obviously, but all the tokens on the battlefield will buff this, and then any elf that's already in the graveyard will also buff this. It has Vigilance and Menace, so it's swinging for big. And there are a few ways to give things trample in this deck too, so watch out for that one. That is actually potentially a win con, essentially, in this deck. Dwynen? I'm going with Dwynen's Elite, 1 and a green. 2/2, when it enters, if I have an elf already on the board, I get another elf warrior creature token. 2 and a green, reach, 1/4. Largely it's in here because of the reach, because elves just do not have flying, so I need a few things that can block. Tajuru Night Blightblade is in here mainly because of the Death Touch, but a 1/1 that's easy to put into play on the first turn is also fantastic. Voice of the Woods, 3 and 2 green. I like this one a lot, actually. He's a 2/2, but if I tap 5 untapped elves I control, I can make a 7/7 green elemental creature token with trample. I'm going to make a few of those, probably. Lyssalana Scarblade. Tap, discard an elf. Target creature gets -X/-X until end of turn, where X is the number of elves I currently control. Gets rid of a problem really easily on the board. Nissa's Chosen. I like this one because whenever it gets put into a graveyard from the battlefield, it just goes back to the bottom of my library instead. So as long as I can get it onto the battlefield, I probably would never be able to be decked out. Is there an I think there's another one I wanted to actually save till the end. I just want to double check and see before I get too far into this, because I think there is one that was really cool if I remember correctly. I just don't remember where it is. That's the one I want to save. That is a huge one. Okay, so we'll put that as the last elf we show you guys, because that is the best elf, one of the best elves in the deck. 1 and a green for a 1/1 with hexproof, and it can't be blocked except by creatures with flying. I like this one because it can always get through pretty much, unless somebody's actually running flying in their deck. 2 black, 2 green for a 3/4. When he enters, I get to return another permanent from my graveyard to my hand. Again, fantastic way to get back Kaivars, get back the artifact, get back my enchantments. Elvish Mystic, Mana Dork. Imperious Perfect, 2 and a green, 2/2. All my elves get +1/+1 except for this one, which is fine because this one is essentially being used to generate more elves. Greenwood Sentinel, 1 and a green for 2/2 with Vigilance. Oh crap, I have 2 Llanowar. No, I actually only have 1 Llanowar elf. Okay, I have an Elvish Mystic and a Llanowar elf. Whew. For a minute there, I thought I had 2 copies of Llanowar elves in here. I was like, no! I thought I double-checked that! Because there's so many different artworks of Llanowar elves that I'm always worried I put in an extra copy of it by mistake. Taps for green, 1/1, very simple. Whenever another green creature enters battlefield, you get to put a +1/+1 counter on target creature. This is one of those ways that I'm going to get the +1/+1 counters on that I need in order to trigger the ability of Rishkar for all my elves. So those two go really well together. I should have kept them together for the combo. Sylvan Ranger enters. I may search my library for a basic land, reveal it, put it in my hand, shuffle. Pretty simple, pretty straightforward. I love Fauna Shaman. This is a fantastic way to get anything I want out of my deck, essentially. Pay 1, tap, discard a creature card, search your library for any creature, reveal it, put it in your hand, shuffle. If I want to get Llanowar, I get Llanowar. If I want to get Mind Render, if I want to get the Giant, if I want to get a few of the things at the end of this, I have no problem searching for them. If I can get to this card first. Farhaven Elf, 2 and a green for a 1/1. When it enters, search your library for a land, put it onto the battlefield tapped. I like that guy. Reclamation Sage, 2 and a green. When it enters, you can destroy an artifact or enchantment. Pretty solid. Elvish War Master, whenever one or more elves enters the battlefield under your control, create a green elf warrior creature token. Only once per turn, but still, this guy is insanely good for this deck. And 5 and 2 green, all my elves get +2/+2 and death touch until end of turn. This is going to be big towards the end, but right now, I'm just letting you know that there's a reason why I put this in here for sure. It pairs really well with a card that we're going to see in a few, so I'm just going to put that down here for now. Wardens of the Cycle, 1 black and 2 green for 3/4. At the beginning of my end step, if a creature died this turn, which chances are there's going to be at least one, I'm going to gain 2 life, or I get to draw a card and lose a life. Chances are I'm going for the 2 life gain because I'm losing a lot of life from the Mind Blade Render. But it's nice to have the option. Wildheart Invoker. This one's just funny. I threw this one in here largely to pair it with Lathril so I can give it trample and +5/+5 on a whim. Lathril already has menace, so I'm definitely going to be swinging for some serious damage and hopefully getting some elves out of it. And now we get to the best elf in the deck, potentially. I really like this one. It's a recent pull, too. Again, that one Jumpstart Your Day pack was insane for the elves, and it really boosted the power of this deck by far. It is Dianus, Elvish Archdruid. 3 and a green for a 3/3. All my elves have, whenever this creature becomes tapped during your turn, untap it and put a +1/+1 counter on it. It only happens once each turn, but all my mana dorks, any elf that I tap for Lathril's ability, all of that nonsense just immediately gets +1/+1 counters and gets to untap. And then that triggers my Rishkar, so then I can tap them all for mana. It's just phenomenal how well this card boosted the power of this deck. I love this card so much, and I'm so happy to have this card. So now we're going to get into the things that are not elves. Like I said, there were a couple of them at the front already. We had the Worm, the Giant, and the Azra Warrior, whatever the hell Azras are. And there are 4 more that are not elves, so there was a total of 7 non-elf creatures. Everything else in this deck is an elf. The one that goes with the Elvish War Master, we will see second. Or no, we're going to see it, yeah. No, we're going to see it at the end. First up is Quilled Great Worm. I love this guy. I had 2 or 3 copies of it, and I decided this deck needed this for sure. First off, 7/7 for 6 is fantastic stat line. It has trample, which is also good. Whenever a creature I control deals combat damage to a player, damage during my turn, I get to put that many +1/+1 counters on it. Now, I'm not sure if that means it has to do combat damage to the player or just has to deal combat damage, like, to a creature, per se. If I'm right about just having to deal combat damage to the creature, that's phenomenal. And then, I can cast this card from my graveyard by removing 6 counters from among the creatures I control, in addition to paying its other mana cost. So I can get this thing back whenever I need to, as long as I have 6 elves on the board that each have a +1/+1 counter. And chances are with this deck, and with the card I just showed you, Dianus, that is just going to bounce each other and keep each other well in play. Next up, I decided to add one of my copies. Interesting. There was a person who parked behind me. They backed up right behind me, and then they just sat there and sat there and sat there, and now they've decided to pull ahead to the next row for some reason, as if I was in the spot they wanted. But I don't know why you would want to back into a spot that you're eventually going to have to back out of. Weird. Anyways, Smeagol, Helpful Guide. I have a couple copies of this, and I thought throwing one of them in here just seems like a fun thing to do. He's a 4/2. At the beginning of my end step, if a creature died under my control this turn, the ring tempts me. So the ring's going to tempt me pretty quickly. Within 4 turns of him getting out on board, I'm hoping to have the ring at full power. Whenever the ring tempts me, target opponent reveals cards from the top of their library until they reveal a land card. I get that land on the battlefield tapped under my control, and the rest of those cards go to their graveyard. I think this is fun, just to mess with people. It's a great way to win the game fairly quickly as an alternate win con to this deck. So people are going to be looking for the tapping of the elves thing. They're going to be looking for the combat damage thing. They're not going to be looking for this. And I think this is going to really be a solid, fun little throw-in to the deck. Next up, another throw-in from Lord of the Rings, and one that just seems like a natural include to any deck that has tokens, is Gothmog Morgul Lieutenant. Honestly, it bugs me that he is not an elf, because he really should be an elf. I think that in the lore, if I remember correctly, I think he's an elf, but I could be wrong. Anywho, when he comes into play, I amass one Orc army, which that is the reason why I need an Orc army token for this deck. It's the only reason why. Same with this. The only reason the ring is going to tempt me is with this card, if I remember correctly. But all my creature tokens are going to have Death Touch, which means if I don't have the ability to pay the cost for the Elvish War Master for all my elves, at the very least all my tokens can get Death Touch every turn. And the best part is they will continue to have Death Touch on my opponent's turns as well, so they make phenomenal blockers at that point. And finally, the card that really kind of gives this deck a lot of heat with people probably, and the card that I absolutely adore for an alternate win con as well. So we have the one alternate win con with Smeagol, and now we have another alternate win con with Finn the Fangbearer. Whenever a creature I control with Death Touch deals combat damage to a player, that player gets 2 poison counters. All my tokens are going to have Death Touch. If Gothmog and this are on the battlefield together, I basically can win the game in one turn if I'm generating enough tokens. If this and this are on the field together, I can give my entire elf army Death Touch and then swing and just boost the crap out of poison on everybody. This is definitely one of the saltiest cards for the deck. This and Smeagol are definitely like the salt cards for the deck by far. But I love them, and I think that they're perfect includes into this kind of deck, because this deck is very... Elves are normally they're so seen as very civil and diplomatic, and they're the group that is very peaceful. But Lathril is a deck that just wants to destroy, in my opinion, and I've tried to build that deck to the best of my abilities, and I think I've done a pretty solid job. I'm going to do the instants and sorceries next, then we'll do the enchantments, and then we'll reveal the secret artifact at the end for the final win con booster. We have Imp's Mischief. I threw this in as just, there's really not a lot of counter spells in green and black. This felt like a fun one to throw in, just to mess with people, because I assume Lathril's going to get targeted a lot, and this will give me a chance to just change the target to something else on somebody's board if they mess with my Lathril. And that's what a lot of my instants and sorcerers are going to do. They're going to give Lathril Hexproof or Indestructible, trying to keep her on the board, so I don't have to keep paying mana commander tax, because if she's not on the board, it kind of screws a lot of the way the deck works. It still will work really well, but the main function of the deck is definitely Lathril's abilities, so yeah. Tyvar's Stand just felt perfect with the 2 Tyvars in here. +X, Hexproof, and Indestructible. Shower of Arrows to get rid of an artifact or enchantment that's a pesky problem, and Scry 1. I mean, if there's a creature with flying, sure, but chances are that's not what I'm going to target. Foul Tongue Shriek, I think, is a hilarious card. Target opponent loses 1 life for each attacking creature I control, and I gain that much life. So I could politicize with somebody, hey, I'm not going to attack you, I'm going to send my army over at this person, and then activate this. It's a little underhanded, but it's fun as a way to win the game. So there's another win con for me, potentially. Snakeskin Veil to defend again, Lathril. Elvish Ambush, because I'm going to have so many elves on the board, why not give this to this deck for sure. Overcome. I don't know if I have the other version of this in here too. I think I might have put both in. No, I did not. So I didn't have enough copies of, what's the more common one is 2 and 3 green, and you get +3/+3 in trample instead. I do have 1 extra copy of that, but I wanted to save that for another deck, so I thought Overcome seems more on point anyways, because it has this nice army attacking, which I'm going to be attacking with a massive elf army, so I like that one. Macabre Waltz to get 2 creatures back from my graveyard to my hand, so I can get some of the non-elf cards back. Unbreakable Bond I thought would be a fun one to put on Lathril, so that she can also give me a lifelink whenever she attacks. Squirming Emergence, return target non-land permanent from my graveyard with mana value less than or equal to the number of permanent cards in my graveyard. Another way to get back the Tyvars or an enchantment. Titiana's Command is phenomenal in this deck. I can exile somebody's graveyard, gain a bunch of life. I can search my library to get a couple lands, get a couple green bears for fun, or put +1/+1 counters on all my creatures. Scale the Heights is really good for the cost. 2 and a green for a sorcery, but you get to put a +1/+1 counter on a creature. You get to gain 2 life. You get to play an additional land, and you get to draw a card. That is a lot of value for a common sorcery, so definitely a fun include. Crippling Fear is a fun one to throw in. Since most of my deck is Elves, I'm going to obviously pick Elf, and then everybody else's stuff is going to get -3/-3. It might kill a few things on my board, but it shouldn't kill too much. And yeah. Clythos Design, 5 and a green. This one's a little expensive, but it does give me an insane power boost as an other alternate win con potentially, to go with the Overcome that we saw earlier, and with the Foul Tongue Shriek. This one gives all my creatures +X/+X until end of turn, where X is my devotion to green. Hideous Visage, 2 and a black, gives all my creatures Intimidate, so that's another way that I can swing in really easily, hopefully, because unless you're running artifact creatures or black or green, you're going to be getting hit. Grow from the Ashes, 2 and a green. This one is mainly in here just because sometimes it's hard to find your lands, especially with a 32 land deck, so 2 and a green, or pay an extra 2, and you get to throw a couple of lands onto the battlefield. They come in untapped, so if you pay the 2 and a green, you're getting at least 1 land back. If you pay 5, you're getting 2 lands back. It's not so bad. Creeping Mold, I like this card because of the artwork more so than anything else, but it does destroy an artifact, enchantment, or a land. Chances are I'm not going to target a land unless somebody's running like an Urborg or something like that. But yeah, this is a really good card. Very versatile. And finally, Victimize to get some more stuff back from my graveyard. Really solid instant sorcery package in my opinion for this deck, and I think it really does well to enhance the rest of the deck, both in terms of the creatures and in terms of the enchantments we're about to see. So starting with Careful Cultivation, I'm going to be enchanting a creature, not an artifact. It's going to get +1/+3, have reach, and it'll be able to tap for 2, so phenomenal mana dork, plus also gives me reach so that I have another blocker for flying. I'm not going to be making the Human Monk, probably, but if I needed to, there is that option as well. Fight Rigging is insane. 2 and a green to put into play, Hideaway 5, not so concerned about the Hideaway thing. What I like about this is at the beginning of combat each turn, I get to put a +1/+1 counter on a target creature I control. That is phenomenally helpful with the Rishkar and with everything else that I have going on in this deck, so more +1/+1 counters, yes please. Grook's Uprising, to give all my creatures trample as soon as they hit that power 4 or greater. And they'll hit that fairly quickly if I can keep my few elves on the board that are giving +1/+1 counters and stuff. Also, I get to draw cards if I put in anything with power 4 and greater. And there's not a whole lot with power 4 or greater that ETBs, but there is a few, so I will get a few cards here or there. Smeagol will do it. The Worm will do it. Abomination will definitely do it, probably. Wildheart will do it. But like I say, not a ton of them will do it, but there's a decent amount that it's definitely more for the trample. Just so that my board has trample easily. I love Presence of Gond. Enchant creature, I can pick any creature I want, and that creature will tap to give me an Elf Warrior creature token. So yeah. I'm not sure if I pick a creature that already does that, whether it would give me 2 tokens. I'm hoping it would. That'd be kind of cool. A Boreal Alliance is fantastic. 2 green and X. Whatever I pay into the X, I get to create an XX green tree folk creature, which is fun. But the big thing about this deck, this enchantment that I love, is whenever I attack with 1 or more elves, I get to populate. I can pick any of my tokens. I can pick one of those 7/7 elementals I mentioned earlier. I can pick the bears. I can pick one of these tree folk, etc., etc. Or just one of my elf tokens. And I can create a copy of that. Now this actually goes really well with the artifact that I'm saving to the end, so there's a really big hint to what the artifact is. So I'm going to hang on to this, show you the last two enchantments. First one, Blanchwood Armor, because why not? I've got a bunch of forests in here. It makes perfect sense to throw this in here to give a massive boost to something, probably to Lathril. And finally, Gaia's Embrace, also probably going on Lathril. +3/+3 and trample, but the big thing is I can pay a 1 green to regenerate the creature. So if Lathril is destroyed by any means, I have a safety net for her. I really like this old school enchantment. 93 to 98, very cool old school art. And now, the big reveal. Have you guessed what my artifact is? This artifact is going to give Lathril the ability to become the best champion for the deck, potentially, I could possibly imagine. I do only have 2 copies of this card, and the other copy of this card is going into my Commander party deck with all the legendaries that is in it, probably. But this one, I felt I had to put it in here. It just fits so well. And especially when I put in the Arboreal Alliance, I knew as soon as I did that, this was just going in here. And this artifact, which is going to boost Lathril as a win con for my deck, is the Helm of the Host. So if I put this on Lathril at the beginning of combat on my turn, I get to make a copy of Lathril. So then I can swing with one Lathril, and then I can tap the other Lathril to do the elf damage, which is insane. But then, with Arboreal Alliance, as long as I attack with one or more elves, I can make a 3rd copy of the Lathril, and it just goes insane from there. Like, I think that this is just too good a fit not to include these. So, yeah. That is my insane. I haven't actually put it online yet, so I don't know if it's gone up a bracket or not. It used to be a bracket 2. Could probably still be called a bracket 2, but I'm pretty sure that we can all agree that it's probably more of a bracket 3 fit at this point. Deck, and I love this Lathril deck. It's a lot of fun to play. It's a lot of fun to swing with. And now that I've added in the poison counters, the ring tempting mechanic, all those new elves from the Jumpstart pack, this deck is just going to be insanely fun to swing with. And that is the video. I hope you guys have enjoyed Super Deck Sunday. It is 9:07, so I'm a few minutes late for getting into the PetSmart. And I'm going to hurry in, get the stuff I need for Kaiba, and get home to my baby so that he is not too sad. And I hope you guys will have a good rest of your Sunday. And from Kaiba at home and myself in the car, much love to you all. Take care. And thank you for watching. Bye. Surprise! Who wins? Daddy decided that we're going to do one quick add-on. Not to my Kaiba video. So you guys probably already saw the Kaiba video because he's going to probably post that one first. But this is going to be an add-on to the Super Deck Sunday. Sunday? We're working on that. Anyways, I wanted to say hi for the Super Deck Sunday because I know you guys didn't get to see me. And I know that makes you guys sad sometimes. So here I am. I'm okay. I'm doing good. I'm actually going to go to the pet store on the way home, I think, because Daddy says that it's almost 9 o'clock and the pet store should be open. And he has to get me some more meat sticks. So maybe we'll go and visit the pet store on the way home, which would be cool. But for now, this is an add-on to the Super Deck Sunday video. And Daddy found that pack of Avatar cards he was going to open. So he said that he would include me a little bit in the video. And he's going to do this real quick for you guys as a bonus for being so awesome and watching the deck profile. So we're going to open up this pack of Avatar. And then we're going to get going to the pet store for me. And I'm going to read the cards because I am awesome. Daddy's having a hard time opening the pack. Packs are very difficult to open in a avatar, apparently. You guys did not see what I just did. I helped the daddy open it. I use my teethers. Shh! Don't tell Snoop. He get mad. Patrick. So we got token and hollow special card for the cards. Okay, here we go. Okie doke. I get to read to you Curious Farm Animals. I like animals. Yay! Curious Farm Animals is a 1-star for a 1/1, and when it dies, I gain 3 life, and I can pay 2 to sacrifice it and destroy an artifact or an enchantment. That's pretty cool. And it's a boar and an elk and a bird and an ox all in one, which is kind of crazy. First time flyer, 1 in a blue for 1/2 with flying, and when the creature gets +1/+1 is your relation in my graveyard. And then there's a compassionate healer. He's a 1 and a white for 2/2, and when he becomes tapped, I get a life and I squy. That's pretty good. I do like that. Waterbending does not only heal physical wounds, it can also soothe the spirit and calm the mind. That's a good quote. And then there's a Callous Inspector. It's a 1 black for a 1/1 with Menace. And when he dies, he deals 1 damage to me. That's not so good. But I get a clue token, which is okie dokie. And then there's the Rebellious Captives. Oh, that was a good part of the show. I like that part. And it's 1 in a green for a 2/2 with Exhaust 6. So if I pay 6 one time, I get to pay 2 +1/+1 counters on this. And then I get to Earthbend 2. But I can only do it 1 time. So kind of disappointing in that part. But Treetop Freedom Fighters, we put this the other day in the Jumpstart pack. And it's a good card. It's 2 in a red for a 2/1 with haste. And when he enters, he makes a 1/1 ally to go with him. So he's not alone, which is nice. Ooh, we got a Wumble Arena. Wumble Arena has Vigilance. And when it enters, I scry 1. And I can tap it to add colorless, or I can pay 1 and tap it to add 1 mana of any color. I don't know why it has... Oh, okay, so if I turn it into a creature, then it can attack without tapping. That's kind of cool. I like that. That's really cool. Serpent of the Past is a big one. It's 5 and 2 blue for a 6/5. If there's 3 or more lessons in my graveyard, I can cast it though as if it had flash. That's kind of neat. And it costs 1 less to cast for each non-creature, non-land card in my graveyard. So all my instants and sorceries reduce the cost. So it could only cost 2 blue, which would be good. That's a decent one. I still like the animal one the best, I think, so far though. Because I'm Kaiba, and I like curious animals. Ooh, I got the Northern Air Temple though. Daddy's gonna be happy about that. It's 1 black for a Schwein. It's an enchantment. And when the Northern Air Temple enters, each opponent loses X life and I gain X life, where X is the number of Schweins. Whenever another Schwein enters, everybody uses a life except for me. I get to gain a life. That's pretty cool. I like that. We got the Uncle Iroh! I like him. He's funny. He costs 1 in 2 red or 2 green for a 4/2. He has Firebending 1. And all my Yesens cost 1 less to cast. So he is very good. I like him. We got a Guider Staff. I want to read the flavor text of the Uncle Iroh. Hope is something you give yourself. That is the meaning of inner strength. That is a good quote. And then the Glider Staff is 2 in a white. And when it enters, I get to airbend something. A creature, sorry. And then the equipped creature gets +1/+1 and is flying, and it costs 2 to equip. That's pretty good. More tools and weapons. Gliders were used by air nomads to harness wind currents for travel. I like it. We got a copy token. And the other side is going to be something cool too, probably. It's a spirit token with a 1/1. I like it. I like the spirit because it looks like a puppy. See? Puppy. I know. I am a puppy too. And we got Omashu City. That's a good land. Taps for red or green. And you can pay 4 to sacrifice it to draw a card. It's pretty good. And we got... Gwen is a hollow. She's pretty. Whenever she comes tapped, you get to draw a card and discard a card. That's pretty good. And non-creature spells cost 1 less to cast as long as there are 3 or more lessons in your graveyard, which is kind of nice too. And our final card is Fire Lord Azula in the Pretty Art. Ooh, we already had one Fire Lord Azula, but we didn't have it in the Pretty Art, so that's cool. And it firebends 2, and whenever you cast a spell while Fire Lord Azula is attacking, you get to copy it, which is pretty cool. And you get to choose new targets for the copy, which is even cooler. So I am very, very happy with this pack. And I'm pretty sure Daddy's going to be very, very happy with this pack too. We got some really cool stuff to add to our collection. And in the meantime, in between time, this is the actual end of the Super Deck Sunday video. So we're going to end it with a shot of me, because I am the star of the channel, and we all know how awesome and special I am. And thank you guys for watching the rest of the video to make sure that you saw me and to see the avatar cards and more importantly me, because I am awesome. And I hope you guys have a good rest of your Sunday, okay? Daddy and I actually love you very, 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 very much. We hope you guys have a good day. And thank you one more time. Okie doke. Bye-bye.